Hi, guys. Welcome to Weekly Travel Updates. I am your host. I have something on my face. I'm your host, Melinda Vargas, and I own Action Travel, and I am here to tell you what's going on. Boy, my phone has blown up today. Look at all that's going on in Mexico. There's fires everywhere. What are we going to do for spring break? Where are we going to go now? I'll tell you in just a few. But let me preface it by saying it's all on the West Coast, guys. I don't have anybody in Cabo, Ensenada, Tijuana, Mazatlán, Puerto Vallarta, or anywhere in that region. And that's where it's all happening. So don't sweat the small stuff. The gang that this cartel leader, he was a West Coast guy. Actually, he was one of the last known of that breed of the cartel. So he was younger, but he was passed down in the family. So it's been a big, big deal. And it has caused the whole region to explode. The United States, they proudly said United States was part of it. So sheltering in place is what all tourists should be doing and will be doing likely for a day or two. I have seen their afternoon news. There are still fires being set. It's local businesses. There was a bus on fire. It is to show their dissatisfaction, and they were blocking all entrances into Puerto Vallarta. I don't know if I've told you guys, we've spoken to my friend in Puerto Vallarta several times since I started this program back when COVID was going on. Rebecca Matsuoka. She was my friend when I lived in California. And I'm sure that I told you that she passed away from cancer the end of last year. But I have been to Puerto Vallarta several times because that's where she lived. That's where Rick, her husband, ran a local boat, to take you out on tours or whale watching, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, it's already, for most people, Southerners particular, we could do Cabo, but much of anywhere else is just too foreign for us. I mean, like in between the homes, the cinder block walls are, fences. That is their fence. They cement broken bottles. They'll take beer bottles or any kind of glass, and they're all broken and they're cemented all between the homes, between apartment buildings, between stores. It's it can make you feel uneasy if you've not been there before. When you get off of a cruise ship and you go in to see downtown Puerto Vallarta, it's a very steep street, and you'll see these walls, but they take you downtown so that you can see the golden domed church and cathedral. And that whole area has seen nothing but violence. You can't get into Puerto Vallarta. They're blocking roads. They're turning away cruise ships. They have even suspended flights. I understand that American Airlines said their flights will resume tomorrow, hopefully. But this is catastrophic for them. So be aware. I was watching a Chicago news station, and there are some people from that news station that are stuck in Puerto Vallarta. So for all of my travelers who have blown up my phone today, It is not Cancun. It is not Cozumel. It's not the Mayan Riviera. It's not anywhere on the East Coast. It's all Jalisco and north, at least now. Now, this guy, El Mincho, he was the leader of New Directions, and they have connections all over the area. So once the news spread, they just directed them to go out and cause chaos, which they've done very successfully. Anyway, your spring break plans for East Coast Mexico is fine. West Coast is do not travel. It is level 1 today. Hopefully flights will resume tomorrow. I saw YouTubes of travelers, US travelers, that are hunkered down in the airport with their luggage in small rooms. They just are afraid to go anywhere. Anyway, it's not an area that we have sent people to for 6 or 8 months. It's just been too volatile. Even before Becky died, I can remember telling you guys, actually, she came on the show one night and said, from Cabo San Lucas all the way down to Puerto Vallarta, it is unsafe. The cartel is robbing people. Don't be anywhere where you're a twosome. Stay together as a group. Don't take taxis. Anyway, it's been something else. Rideshare programs are completely stopped right now in the whole area. And if you're a young tourist who booked that yourself, you generally depend on that. So be very careful, be very vigilant. It's not too late to go to the State Department's website and sign up as a SMART, SMART traveler. It's a program that you can let U.S. government know exactly where you are, how long you're going to be there, and under what circumstances, be it vacation, business, et cetera, et cetera. It's something you ought to do, especially for Mexico right now. Okay, boy, I spent a lot of time on that. Sorry about that, guys. Scams. I know that we've talked about several scams, but this week alone, the Carnival Cruise Line rep, John Heel, he is like their brand ambassador. His Facebook account was hacked. Well, not literally hacked. They started a new Facebook account. Well, the John Heel that we know and love has over 650,000 followers. But this new Facebook account quickly exceeded 3,000. And when you asked to become a friend, once you said you were on a cruise, they started soliciting money from you. One lady in particular lost hundreds. Said, "Oh, I can get you into a private bridge tour. Send me $200. And so she did. And it's not for real. Anyway, if you have been around my channel for long, you knew that my accounts were all hacked last September, and I lost all of my friends. 20 years worth. So I am trying to rebuild my social media presence. Please like and follow and share. And if you're on YouTube, or if you'd go over to YouTube and give it a quick like, I would greatly appreciate it. Okay. Not only has it been John Heald that was hacked, but there are new job scams that are coming out. Be a travel agent, $24.95 a month. Be a travel agent, $84.95 a month. Be a travel agent, $50 a month. I mean, I have seen all of these ads today. All of these ads today. I saw 4 or 5, but I was just blown away at what's out there. And it was not just on my phone. It was on my phone, on the computer, on YouTube. Anyway, be cautious. There are a lot of companies out there who want you to pay a monthly fee to be a travel agent. And I used to tell people who got suckered into this, there is no such thing. Most cruise lines and airlines have given away all of the freebies they're going to give to these fake card meals. They're not good anymore. You have to be a valid, accredited travel agent for benefits. And these little programs that they're putting out there promising you the moon, don't believe it, guys. The reason why I say stay so busy is because there's such a small margin on what travel professionals make. I mean, on average, it's 10%. And like on cruises and tours or airlines, it's 10% on the base, but you don't get paid anything on taxes and government fees, non-commissionables, all of those little extras. So don't think you're going to get rich. It's just not that way. I just do it because I love it. And now that I have built my clientele where I can work with the ones who I really love to work with, it's a pie job. Okay, back to what else? Fake Facebook accounts. The cruise lines, now that this has been announced, there's one for Norwegian, there's one for Royal Caribbean. Watch out, guys. Look and see how many followers there are. Because if it's a for real travel vendor, they're going to have tons and tons of subscribers, not 5,000 or under. Okay, anyway, let's move to the biggest story of the day. And I didn't list it on my sheet because, we're done with snow. We've had weeks of it. But the biggest story of the day is the snow bomb that is hitting the Northwest. There are reported areas with 60 inches. Even in New Jersey, they have a statewide state of emergency, with the average snowfall in New Jersey being between 25 and 30 inches. And it's hitting areas of New Jersey that never get hit or rarely get hit, like their coastline. So watch out if you're headed that direction. We've had it for a couple weeks. I'm glad it is by us, but I did not realize that 11,000 flights were canceled just today. I've been looking at everything about Mexico so I could tell you about that. And I didn't tell you that Charleston saw its third earthquake in less than a week. Now, they've been minor earthquakes, but you know what they say about earthquakes. And we watched San Francisco, and weeks in a row, there were earthquakes. Weeks in a row. This is the second week in a row that we're talking about earthquakes as close as Charleston, South Carolina. Now, that's right on the coast. It's actually kind of, parts of it are marshlands, but it's a beautiful area, upscale, kind of a refined area. Even the McDonald's has to be built to a certain standard, just outside of the Charleston area. Anyway, it's very cool. Hope everything's good for them. The biggest thing I'm going to tell you about cruise news. There's been a boatload of cruise news. And I will tell you, the biggest news is there has been the very first ever Michelin 5-star restaurant announced. And it's at sea. The very first at sea Michelin 5-star restaurant is on Celebrity Cruise Line. And specifically, it was announced this week as the award was provided on the Celebrity Apex. but it's also going to apply to the same restaurants aboard the Ascent and the Beyond. Well, with this snowstorm, there were no ships leaving New York this weekend. I mean, NCL has sat there for 2 days, the most snow many of these people have ever seen in their life, and they're on a cruise ship sitting in the harbor in New York City. Anyway, one captain with who was the brave captain? On the Norwegian breakaway, he decided yesterday afternoon they were going to break away from New York. And they left New York around 4 p.m. yesterday afternoon. Well, the first news that came out was the rough seas. And then the captain came across the PA system and he said, "Folks, we're in for a challenging evening." Now, aren't you glad you're not on that sailing this week? I know I am. Gale force winds. Here is why I don't do the Pacific or the North Atlantic in this time of year. It's rogue waves. They have gale force winds reaching over 80 miles an hour. Do you know what that does to the side of a ship if it just hits the right way? It moves that ship, especially when it is the breakaway, 16 stories tall. I would not want to be on that ship. I want to know if you know somebody who is sailing this week. I want to hear some real stories from people that I could share that I might know. Okay, let's go back to it. Let's see. They are headed to warmer weather. So once they get south of Miami, they'll be okay. Let's see. You know how the perfect day at Coco Cay has been such a big hit? And then it was the perfect day in Mexico. Well, even before this cartel thing, the perfect day in Mexico on the small island area of Costa Maya. It is refusing for Royal Caribbean to continue this. There were protesters. They were all around the port. They were blocking the streets. It was an embarrassment. We're not sure what's going to happen. It is already in court. There are legal battles that have been going on for weeks behind the scenes. It wasn't until this major protest came out that the public finally does know that there is an issue there. So more to come about that one. And then Princess Cruise Line broke a Guinness World Book of Records this past week. This past week, they served out of Texas, they served 3,410 margaritas in one day. The previous record was 2,278, and it was held by a Royal Caribbean ship, but this is a Western Caribbean sailing to Mexico on Princess Cruise Line, and they broke the record this past week. I hope they're careful while they're in port. Now, while New Directions, this cartel group, is not on the East Coast, it's not to say that things can't happen. Be vigilant. Be careful when you are anywhere. Okay, let's go to something else. Let's see. A 73-year-old man was arrested for lewd and lascivious actions on Explorer of the Seas this weekend. Since it happened in international waters, the ship was met and Mr. Seth, he looked to be a Hispanic man. He was released and Brevard County has him on a $35,000 bond set to go to court in less than 2 weeks. So this was a minor, and it was a Royal Caribbean ship. People, things happen. Things happen. It doesn't matter where you go. It doesn't matter what ship you're on, what hotel you're at. It doesn't matter what destination. This world is unfriendly. You have got to be more careful than you did even 5 years ago. Things have changed, and I don't foresee it getting better. So the best that we can do is educate you on what to do. One of the scams that I didn't tell you about because I didn't have time to research it fully were all of these peeping cameras in rental homes, in Verbo, in condominium places at the beach. Anyway, I'm going to tell you about it next week. Hopefully, I'm going to order this little camera or this little light that you could shine it around the room and see if there are any cameras in your room. It's sad that to travel and have complete peace of mind, you have got to clean and sanitize your room. Now you've got to protect yourself, make sure that nobody's spying on you. Okay, let's see. In better news, I will tell you that the cruise stocks are up. Carnival hit a $32.70 per share. Royal Caribbean is at $327.71. Norwegian is at $24.12, and Viking $75.60. All were up Friday and again on Monday. And if you watched last week, I said if you wanted to have a vow renewal done by Shaq, Carnival was doing this huge vow renewal. Well, if you missed it for this year, have no fear because they're doing it annually. This year, aboard many of the Carnival ships, the big man Shaq did a virtual vow renewal for more than 1,300 couples. Excuse me. While I find that funny, I'm sure that there were several people who were celebrating engagements or weddings that happened during this past year. And, this was a vow renewal at Valentine's Day. So they're going to do it every year. And if you really want to do a vow renewal, or if you want to get engaged on a ship, this would be a great time to do it. Valentine's Day next year. They're already running promotions. Okay. Wow, that's everything. And I only took 23 minutes. That's way longer than I normally do, guys. I had a lot to say, and I hope that you enjoyed it. If you found anything that I shared helpful, useful, share it, tell others. Go like and share this video. I greatly appreciate it. And until next time, I hope that you check out Melinda Fargas, Action Travel, Professional Development Journeys. Oh, I meant to tell you, we're going to Alaska in 27. And I will share this. I'll take 10 more seconds. Right now, this cruise, if you have 3 people in a room, is a better price than any rate I've had since 2023. That's a really good deal, guys. Under 10 grand for 3 people. Hit me up. 336-222-TRIP. That's me, Melinda Fargas, Action Travel. And remember, without a travel agent, you're on your own. Ciao.